In this module, we'll be looking at some of the fundamentals as they pertain to marketing research. Specifically, we'll be considering the market research process, the nature of end-driven research, as well as the difference between exploratory, descriptive, and causal research methods. The esteemed Dr. Seuss was quoted as saying, "Sometimes the questions are complicated and the answers are simple." Good research will seek to provide answers that lend clarity to the task at hand. Too many times, people equate market research with advanced mathematics. I'd ask that you think about it this way. Just as some people might get really freaked out thinking about all of the different components of a car engine, you don't have to have detailed knowledge regarding the engine to be a good driver. In the same way, although there are some amazing mathematical techniques to help us understand the world around us, the heart of good research is not really about statistics, it's about understanding. Stated differently, good research seeks to solve problems and help one to determine the best path to take. So, to reiterate, the centrality of the research effort needs to be focused on understanding the problem and potential solutions, not just being able to do math. This diagram was used when discussing competitive intelligence. Really, at the end of the day, market research provides insight as to which marketing mix variables we need to manipulate in order to compete in an effective manner. Even the best mathematical techniques and statistics won't help us much if we don't formulate the problem correctly from the outset. End-driven research is a process to ensure relevant information is collected. It's called end-driven to recognize that this process starts at the end, in other words, the decisions that need to be made, and works its way backward to the beginning, the implications for the data collection. A critical part of this is the involvement of managers and frontline people from the outset. This will enhance the likelihood that you're dealing with the right issues, foster greater acceptance of the research by management, and a greater adoption of the implications by the front line. Circumventing people at the beginning might shorten the timeline for the project, but it will also result in negative impacts in terms of the end-of-the-day effectiveness of the research. So, if we had to lay this out in a step-by-step manner, it would look something like this. 1. Determine how the research will be implemented. What is the decision to be made? How is the decision going to be made? What options are available to select from? 2. Determine what the final report should contain. 3. Specify the analysis needed to fill in the blanks. 4. Determine the kind of data that has to be assembled. 5. Scan available secondary data sources. 6. Design instruments and the sampling plan. And then 7. Carry out the field work. Again, note that we're starting at the end, asking how we're actually going to use this research and then working our way backward. This seems obvious and intuitive post hoc, but trust me, some of the worst projects I've been involved with are the ones that just start carrying out the field work and then ask questions later in terms of how it's going to be used. Before we get into some specific market research tools, I wanted to clarify something. There are a lot of tools in market research and analytics, and the best alternative may very well depend on the specific purpose of the research. Just like there are many different instruments that measure different things, from wind speed to radiation, in the same way there are many different types of market research tools and approaches. One of the first things we need to understand when we approach a research project is what is the current state of knowledge and what is the specific research objective or problem that we're trying to solve for. In some cases, there's a lack of awareness and poor definition around an issue, in which case exploratory research is most appropriate. A question that might represent this category might be, what makes Arizona an attractive state to live in? In some situations, there's a somewhat greater definition in terms of what the key issues are, but it's not clear what the status on those issues would be. This usually falls under the banner of descriptive research. Perhaps you know that there are a lot of people who visit Arizona in the winter, but you don't know how many or where specifically they go once they arrive. Or to use our example presented on the slide, one might seek to quantify what educational opportunities exist in Arizona. Finally, along the continuum would be causal research. In this case, the constructs are very clear. We know exactly what the issues are, but we don't fully understand their causal relation. For example, we might know that increasing fees will decrease registrations, but we could more concretely specify this relation by asking what impact a 15% increase in fees will have on the number of registrations. Exploratory research usually calls for qualitative research methods, such as anthropological research, depth interviews, and focus groups. As we move along the spectrum, we're more likely to use surveys and advanced analytical methods.